Hello everyone and welcome. Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. I hope you're all doing fantastically well wherever you are in the world. Guys, we're going through episode 3 today. Cannot believe it's the third week already of this outstanding series of crypto events, guys. So today we've got a nice little lineup. We're going to crack straight through this, and don't forget we will put timestamps in the description below. If you are finding this informative, do smash that like button and make sure you have subscribed to the channel if you've not done so already. Guys, just a quick reminder, we do this every weekend now, trying to get it out at 2 p.m. every afternoon on a Saturday. However, the internet here is appalling, so sometimes it gets delayed, so apologies for that. But do keep an eye out around about, I do say Tuesday or Wednesday, but it was actually Thursday last week, which was a bit of a disgrace from my side. But you have a couple of days basically throughout the week where I will post this kind of thing on the community page, so do keep an eye on that. And that gives you the opportunity to put in your requests here. So we've got a number of good ones here. Some we don't cover because we either cover them regularly or we did that in a week or 2 weeks before. However, we do try and do a bit of a chart update, but also what we also do is take some of the really good ones and we'll do intro videos for them, and then we'll do a continuous regular update on those every other day as much as possible we can. There's a lot of videos to get through, as you can imagine, so hopefully you're enjoying this, and we're trying our best to cover all aspects of crypto as much as we can, whilst juggling many other aspects of life, of course. So guys, the first one in the list here today is pre-search. So thank you for those guys. There was actually a number of requests over the last couple of weeks on a multitude of social media channels, including the community page. So I'm delighted to say that we finally got ourselves round to doing this particular crypto asset. So this is actually quite an interesting one. Just for those that are new to the episode section, so we're not going to go into gigantic detail. We'll just do a top line overview, bit of a chart, research, and then, like I said, what we'll do is we'll do proper intro videos as soon as we can, and then we'll get regular updates on them as much as possible. So pre-search, guys, very much around kind of like a tokenomics or reward system around a search engine. So it kind of actually reminds me a bit like, you know, like BAT. I think BAT does something similar actually, not necessarily across the world at the moment. I think it's quite big in the Asian market. But it kind of actually reminds me, to be fair, of this kind of like concept isn't new to me as such. If you remember, maybe certainly in the UK here, I'm sure there's like sort of similar kind of concepts in other countries, but we have something like the Nectar card here, and originally it used to be linked with Sainsbury's, one of our supermarkets here in the UK. And used to basically, whenever you spent money in using Nectar cards, you get rewards on this loyalty program that you could then redeem either as vouchers towards like your supermarket shop or grocery shop, or you would be able to essentially redeem it in other areas. So it might be things like tickets to something or the cinema, that kind of thing. And then I think generally the partnerships kind of like reduced over the years for Nectar. It's not as good as it used to be. It's kind of like Taste Card, where everyone used to be on it, and then now all of a sudden hardly anyone's on it. It's kind of like, oh, this is boring now. But this is quite a good concept, of course. Now, what I really find appealing about this one in general is well, the roadmap for a start is fantastic, and we've seen a lot of the tick off points in this roadmap, but I would like to see a bit more information in regards to ones that are coming up perhaps in 2022, but we'll keep an eye out for those as they come along. But I really see like the commercial aspect of this. And why do I think that? Well, they've got this thing here called keyword staking. So those are familiar maybe in the marketing arena or as a business in general, and that's certainly something that I'm entailed in within my role in the real world, is, you know, SEO and the marketing aspect of pay-per-click, Google Shopping, these kind of things. Now, you can actually basically stake your PRE tokens towards a specific keyword, and I think it's pretty much a bidding war really in that aspect. So what we've got to kind of think about here is how much money could potentially be ploughed into this. And just before we go on further, I just wanted to point out, so the max supply of this is 500 million pre-search tokens here. So it's not a gigantic amount really. Circulating supply of 396 million. Now, that I think could be sucked up quite quickly over the next couple of years, or certainly the few years in the near future, because I think once commercial businesses start taking advantage of this and they find out that, you know, as pre-search gets its kind of incentivization of being used more and more in the future, you know, this is kind of appealing to companies to go, okay, well, this is an alternative to Google. I mean, me personally, I use DuckDuckGo just from the well, they say that it's not censored as it were, but who knows how long that will last with all these things these days. But I use those kind of things. It's not like a reward system. I've got like Honey. You might have that in other countries or use it yourself. Like Honey is like a loyalty program as well, in the sense that it links up with loads of different websites. You get rewarded Honey tokens, but it's kind of that principle. So it's no cost per click, no cost per impression, and no cost per action. It's literally just based around staking of words, which I thought was really cool. So you imagine the commercial power of that. I mean, that's going to be fantastic. And just generally, if you're starting up your own business or your own channel or your own kind of website, you know, you can really obtain the sort of go ahead of this kind of aspect. So I think it's quite interesting. So like I said, more and more people that join this and more community driving about it, I think the more popular it will become, obviously, and the more it will be used, and thus essentially bringing that price of pre up into the chart. So we will cover the chart in a second, but yeah, I think this is really interesting, and I think I can definitely see the adaptability to utilizing from a multitude of different levels. Let us know in the comments below if you're holding this token, or perhaps even using it. Are you using this token? Are you using the search engine? And are you a company that's using the staking? I'm really interested to know how you guys are getting on with it. But we'll definitely cover that in more detail as we go on. But yeah, it's very, very interesting. And like I said, thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. I'm quite interested myself. Let's just take a look at the chart quickly before we go on to the next project. Like I said, those that have not done so, please do smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so. And if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hopefully you're enjoying the content and all the other videos that we're doing as well. So here we go, pre-search on Tether via KuCoin data here. So not a gigantic overview because we will do this on a regular basis, but a couple of key observations. Excuse all the percentages here. I will go through these one by one so you don't get confused. So since this point back here, 31st of August, we've had a 1,123% gain all the way up to these top points here just recently around the 5th of October. So we've taken that price of the 31st of August around just under 4 cents to a whopping 42 cents, guys. And yeah, I have checked these kind of momentums. It was all around really like launches and partnerships and things and exchange listings, etc. So there's really good room in the tank for this one, in my opinion. The fib retracement, I use this kind of like as a benchmark. I'm not saying this is exactly it, but you know, there is an argument to say that we could be potentially hitting towards that $2 mark this year. So there's still a bit of room in the tank to grow. It might even go higher. Like I said, this project I think is truly based on the awareness of it and the adoption of it over time. I don't think it's going to be a quick thing. I think it's certainly going to be something that grows with momentum as time goes on, as awareness builds and companies start realizing the mechanism of this. And like I said, there are other projects like this as well, so it's not massively unique, but I do like that staking opportunity. I think it's absolutely fantastic idea. So yeah, we've had that rise, and taking it step by step, we've got some arguably some interesting moves here. So I just wanted to point out, so we had these corrections here. I've just taken this one here for example. So we had the 89% rise from this point here to up here. We've taken it down 28%, we went up 52%, down 17, up 112, and we're now sort of around about floating at this area here, as we just said, just around 42.9 cents. So it's had a very fantastic ride. Where are we going from here? Well, there's a couple of observations. The MACD here is slightly narrowing just today, and maybe yesterday as well. So from the 8th to today, it is slightly narrowing. So let's just keep an eye on that, because that might give an indication that we're stabilizing. The RSI is quite good in the sense that it's around this 70 mark at the moment. It did hit about 78 a few days back. Usually for me, I see like top outs maybe like 85 or 80, 85 in this kind of a movement. So it's not quite massively parabolic, as it were, but I see some stabilization going here. So there's still room in the tank for us to move. However, it's really just down. As you can see, we've had maybe 5, 6 days, 7 days of these touch points around this 45 cent mark. So it's a really area of interest. Can we get stability at this line, which is a key line on the long-term fib retracement? If we can do that, it's really just a question of a battle here. Is this our support line, or are we going to drop down? And that's where we see the attack of the 40 cent and arguably back down here to 35. So if you're looking for potential buy opportunities, I have put a couple in here already. I'm just going to remove some of these chaotic percentages so we can see what we're doing here. But I am intrigued because I do like this project, and I might actually have to add it to my portfolio just because I know what it's sort of capable of in the real world scenario, as it were. So I am looking for kind of like a very cheeky buy point here around 32 cents. Am I interested in these top levels? Yeah, I think there is a possibility, of course, but I think it's going to be fairly minimal. However, I would be potentially sort of operating something maybe around that 37 to 36 mark here, just above this top line. We have tried to test that here on the 4th and also the 7th. So I'm just going to put a little cheeky option there. Not financial advice, of course. This is just my opinion. Do I want to buy that? I'm not really that interested in this point. I'm more interested in this. I think that's a lot more of a significant accumulation opportunity than that one. But if you're looking for maybe short-term ones and you're maybe day trading or something like that, then that might be of interest as well. I do have a longer one down here, just in case, because obviously we've had this parabolic rise of 1000%, guys. We haven't quite had a full kind of retracement. In fact, let's just check that before we go on to the next project. We've got here, for example, at this top level here, down to here, so it's 50% reduction, which is quite quite reasonable, to be honest. So I am putting another cheeky one here, and I wanted to try and touch this area here, so I'm just going to move that up slightly, just so because you can see, especially around this area between the 12th of September and these most recent times at the end of September, there's some movement. There's some really interesting lines of resistance and support areas here, so I'm just going to draw that in here. I think it's around about there. So that kind of ties in with where we put this potential buy opportunity. And like I said in many videos, I like to try and not do rounded numbers. I like to try and get them on either side. I'm just going to reduce that slightly. So I think that might be a good opportunity as well. But like I said, let us know if you're holding the pre-token in your portfolio, and let us know what you're thinking of the project as well. So like I said, the RSI is slightly slipping, so it could mean that we have a potential opportunity that we may come back down and test these previous potential support lines. So keep an eye out that for guys. Performance wise, it's actually doing very, very well this year. 13% up on the week, 103% up on the month. The year to date, guys, 3000%. That is absolutely phenomenal. So guys, we'll wrap pre-search up there. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Yeah, we will cover that more often as well, especially as the adoption of the roadmap continues. Let's go back onto our browser and look at the next project, guys. So the next one on our list here is this one here. So we are looking here at Stronghold Token. This is quite interesting. This is not to be confused with Strong. Strong is a lot more expensive, I believe. But Stronghold Token is another one of interest. It's not been actually on our watch list, so I'm actually going to add this because from reading on the brief information, I do think there's a good scope of movement here. Unfortunately, I don't have the chart update for this one. There doesn't appear to be data throughout TradeView just yet, and I think that's possibly because it's still on arguably low-end exchanges. I think obviously it would be great to see it on mainstream ones, and that would be kind of one of our key points as to investing in this project. So it actually has massive potential, of course, but it reminds me of some similar projects like maybe PundiX. There's a lot of projects out there trying to find solutions to the digital payment idea, but not just digital payments, but everywhere and anywhere. So whether it's through browser, POS system, whatever it is, that's what they're trying to achieve. So what I would like to say about this project is the team. The team looks really kind of good from what I've done research on LinkedIn and everything in terms of their history and their background. but also I like the passion, the dedication behind it. So sometimes with projects, you take a side like, actually, yeah, this is similar to others, but teamwork is very important in the background. When you've got a big team and a good team behind you, it can take projects, you know, even higher than projects that look great on paper. So there's a multitude of different aspects you should look at when you're doing research into a project, and that definitely is one of them, to sort of look at what kind of team is in place and their efforts. If you look at what they're doing on social media, are they pushing the project? Are they excited? Are they passionate? And they definitely are, these guys. So it's a good one to keep an eye on. They started this project in 2014. Of course, they've had some great growth since then, not just from the payment, the price perspective of the chart, but I'm more talking about the roadmap and its delivery of the project itself. So trying to find simple and quick ways to start accepting card payments. Now, one thing I would be mindful, of course, you've got things like PayPal now adding crypto opportunities, and I have no doubt in my mind that PayPal eventually will just continue to push this sector. And I think one of the key barriers that these guys might come across is simply the fact that there's so many brands that people have confidence in and knowledge of already, that these guys are going to be competing and having a big task ahead of them. But that's what the world is about, right? It's about competition and trying to offer something different. And like I said, the team, you probably know the team of these guys more so than you would the PayPal team, because PayPal's obviously massive, you know, and people churn rate out of that company left, right and center all the time. So yeah, there's swings and roundabouts to this, but it's all about the earning rewards of the tokens as and when you're using them, both as a company and as a person using this kind of concept to pay for things. And yeah, they're trying to basically take on a majority of different aspects. So the checkouts, whether it be browser or in stores, card processing aspect, of course, you know, trying to compete with the likes of PayPal. So I think there's definitely a good opportunity here. The price point's quite low at the moment, of course, to try and accumulate a big majority, but just keep in mind, I think it's 100 billion tokens here. Now, that sounds like a massive amount, but if you can try and think ahead like 5-10 years time, as the adoption of crypto continues and payments continue to be more efficient and more effective, these tokens, or certainly the number of tokens, seem to maybe diminish quicker than you could possibly anticipate. So do keep that in mind, that yes, it's a massive amount, but they could be taken up quite easily over the period of time. I think this is an early project. For me personally, it is of interest. I would probably grab a small bag now, just to say that it's kind of like a reminder in my portfolio, but I'm not too stressed. You know, this might be something that hits me in the rear end along the line, but certainly something to accumulate over the next couple of years, maybe in potential bear markets. But like I said, I'm going to probably try and get a small bag. I've got a BitTrue account, so that's not a problem. It is available on, I don't know what this one is, to be honest, P2P, B2B, I think that's the peer-to-peer. I'm not sure about that, I have to check that one out, but there's a multitude of different pairings available. Quite nice to see XRP as well as a pairing, which is interesting. So that might be some kind of intake of maybe the future in terms of interoperability and being able to use XRP as the ledgering kind of the ledger kind of aspect. So keep an eye on this one, guys. I'm going to put it in my watch list. That's the whole point of a watch list, right? To not only have the ones you have in your portfolio, but ones that you're thinking about doing as well. And the market cap as well, 67.6 million. So do keep that in mind, as well as the other things that we just mentioned. The only data I have here, all-time high, was back in May. So there's plenty of opportunity still to have a nice gain throughout this year. So we're still a few cents off that. But yeah, I do think this is a very interesting one for the future. I'm going to grab a small bag probably today or tomorrow and just keep it there, see what happens. But certainly something of interest to keep adding to over the next couple of years as adoption occurs. So guys, let us know if you're holding the Stronghold token SHX in your portfolio. And we will review this as time goes by as well. And I'll probably do a quick chart update maybe once a week at least to keep an eye on this movement of this project. So thank you very much for bringing that one to our attention. Do go check out the websites of each of these projects as well before you do any kind of investing. We're just here to pinpoint some ideas, but it's down to you guys to make sure you do your research when you're looking at these kind of projects. So Guys, next project here is Lgcy. Now, I actually had got a bag of this maybe about a month or so ago, just from some research that I did. Currently available on Uniswap, Bitrue, Hotbit, Bicky is the project platform I purchased it on. I don't know why I didn't get it from Bitrue actually. That's a bit odd. And a couple of other ones there as well. I would like to see this go on to a few more mainstream projects, but I think that's definitely something probably on the cards as time goes by. So this project in particular, very much around trying to be a pure 100% decentralized blockchain. So something that appeals kind of like to a lot of people really, both as investors and real users. So it's like that power to the people. There's a lot of projects out there that start off as decentralized, and then they kind of like, actually to momentumize ourselves, we maybe need to remove some of that decentral aspect. And of course, there's always arguments across the history of blockchain. When I was doing my diploma in blockchain crypto about, you know, hard forking aspects of like through Ethereum and Bitcoin, there's arguments even internally as to which direction we should go. And you always get like the classic ones, for example, where you know, the original teams wanted to keep it decentralized and the other team wanted to excel it, and in order to excel the project they had to kind of remove some of that aspect. So it's really interesting. This particular project is from their kind of mind is about introduction of community. Okay, so they're really heavily involving the community aspect to help with the proof of staking and the governance of this project, as well as the blockchain. So it really is going down back to the foundations of what blockchain was kind of originally created for and the principles behind it. So I think this is a really interesting one to keep an eye on for sure. It's a very sort of nice protocol and background to it. So started in August 2020, so it's very new, but the roadmap is very important. I like the team behind it. I've done some research on these guys. Go and check them out on LinkedIn. They've all got the links on the website as well. Check out their social media interactions, of course, with their projects as well as the history as well, because it's really interesting to see how these guys are coming together. So masses of experience here, guys, like even from the development perspective. So you know these guys are going to do a great job moving forward. And I'm really excited about this one because I do like community driven projects to an extent. Sometimes I think a lot of them out there can be like hype driven, but I think this one's got legs in the background, and we will do a proper introduction to this project, I think hopefully during this week coming, because there is quite a lot of interesting facts around the tokenomics, which I won't go into massive detail, but yes, there is a big supply. This is actually, I think, being reduced from 100 billion originally. So we've already had quite good burns on it, but it's very much, as I said, community and development you know, related in this project. So really interested to see how this develops. Like I said, I've got assets of this myself in my portfolio. So we will definitely take a look at this project more and more as time goes on. Unfortunately, I don't think I have, even with this one, got a USDT pairing or anything like that on TradeView. But just to sort of emphasize before we wrap up, I will go into a bit of chart points on the coin market cap basic one, and I will keep pushing KuCoin, etc., to hurry up and list this thing because it is a really cool project. So community trust, this is basically an initiative that they've created to keep pushing what we've just mentioned. So we utilize 16.66 billion tokens from years 2 and 3. So I think we're already in year 2, I believe, or approaching year 2. USDL, which is something to keep an eye out for. It's not something I believe you can purchase directly, but it's the governance token for this. To obtain this, I believe you could stake. However, the staking, as always, pre-staking is closed, but do keep an eye out for this potentially opening in the future for something like a general public staking aspect. So you get the USDL in return, very similar to like with VeChain with the Vetor, or Vethor, sorry, and you've also got things like Zilliqa where you've got GZIL as well. So really important in the background to keep the governance, keep the development of the project going in the background. This is why I quite like it actually, because it has that aspect on it. So USD is a stablecoin gas token. We enable the Lgcy token. Currently, Lgcy can be purchased either on Uniswap or Bilaxi. We've already covered a couple of the other ones as well. But I'm really interested to see if this opens up again. So currently, this is in use. of these particular options available. This one's fully filled for a 3-month one, 6 months, 12 months. Of course, as you go into the longer term ones, you're kind of putting yourself at risk in case there's like major sort of fluctuation in price and this, that and the other. So like I said, do keep an eye on that. Look at that, 56% APR. So definitely something to try and find an opportunity when that opens up. And if something happens, we will let you guys know as and when we can, if something comes available on the staking aspect. So yeah, I'm looking forward to pushing that info out when we get it. So guys, that's Lgcy. I think it's a really interesting one. But in terms of also the project itself, as we've mentioned, yeah, very heavily around community driven aspect. They are actually as well looking to bring out their own blockchain. So moving away from Ethereum's ERC20 token stabilization into their own chain. So something very interesting there. And we've also got the mainnet. So the mainnet is in the last phase of the testing. So this could be a great opportunity to bag some legacy before we start seeing some really good price movements. Once that mainnet you know, pushes forward, I think it's going to get a lot of adoption, in my opinion. So it's definitely one to put on your watch list, at least as a bare minimum, and just consider, do some research. We will do the intro video during the week and we'll go into full detail of this project, but I think it's absolutely fantastic. I really like yeah, the proof of staking aspect and what they're trying to do through the system and their protocol. So thanks very much guys for bringing that one to our attention. Really appreciate that, and we will definitely cover that this week on a full update. Guys, next one here, Polka Bridge. Now there's a lot of projects kind of like this, and we are actually covering a few in the background. Things like Proton, which are new, Clever wallets and things like this that are doing a lot of swap tokenomics aspects. So Polka Bridge, again, not doing very well with the charts here, but yeah, this one's currently floating around 53 cents. We have seen some movement over the last few months. Of course, these previous highs of around 78-80 cents. There's still a lot of movement. This was last seen around mid-September. So we've had quite a bit of retracement since then. What I'm going to do is try and find another system that could perhaps show us some charts for these information aspects. Currently available on Gate, QuickSwap, Lgcy, LAT Token and Uniswap. Okay, so a couple of different pairing options there as well. But yes, Polka Bridge, sorry, powered by Polkadot, of course. So I think one of the key aspects to this particular project is you've got obviously the confidence of utilizing something like Polkadot. So I think like there's quite a few projects like this, as I mentioned, but one advantage being that Polkadot drive is a lot of trust of obviously and confidence in that project already. So using like an in-house mechanism may appeal to many, both investors and people utilizing this kind of you know, project for their token swapping as well. The roadmap's really solid. We'll look at that in a second as well, but the swapping mechanism is of course something that's of great popularity recently. So as you can see here, they're very open with their roadmap. You can go backwards and forwards into the future and into the past as well. So we're obviously around this Q3 Q4 mark in 2022, of course, approaching Q1 2022, sorry. So what's coming up? Well, there's listings on KuCoin, Huobi and OKEx and FTX. So FTX, KuCoin, in my opinion, being probably two of the key ones there. And of course, these two are appealing to other markets around the world. The mainnet multi-chain automated market makers as well is coming by the looks of it. Integration of Harmony. Now, I wanted to point this out. So for those that are holding Harmony 1, this could be very, very good once this really fully kicks off. So Polka Bridge is a one-stop solution and multi-chain suite for DeFi and NFT services coming soon to Harmony, guys. So especially that NFT aspect, I think is going to be very, very interesting. So this could be extremely massive news for Harmony 1 holders as well as Polka Bridge. That in itself is fantastic. And I'm looking forward to bringing that information out more a bit in the near future. Hopefully this week we'll do a Polka Bridge update, maybe tie that in with Polkadot in general, and we'll also cover the Harmony 1 aspect too. So what I like as well is the confirmation process here. So each swap action includes 2 transactions on 2 platforms with swap tokens through pools, and there's a big farming aspect opportunity there as well. But you're going to see a lot of this, guys, prediction markets. So you've got things like Polka markets out at the moment, which is, I think, working alongside with like B-Pro and all these kind of projects too. You've got the Launchpad. I'm really interested in this aspect. I'm looking forward to doing more research on this. So IDOs, of course, is something I really want to try and get more and more involved in. But do you know what? I get so hacked off with some of them. Like, you literally sat there adding yourself to this, adding yourself to that, this, that, and the other. And then it finally launches and it's all sold out in like half a minute because everyone's got faster internet than me, or they just maybe do it better than I do. But very interesting. But we'll have to see how that works. Then the web team needs to sort this out. It's very annoying. Okay, AMM. So yeah, of course, earnings and pools capitalizing on user slippages. So that's very much around a trader's aspect. So really interesting to see how that integrates with their system as well. So interesting as well, audited by Certic. So I'm quite surprised why they may be using those guys. Of course, it's a fantastic company, but yeah, of course there's other ones which actually, oddly enough, we will be mentioning one of those shortly in another project. But yeah, as we said, the price point around 53 cents. I do see a fantastic opportunity with this one, especially as the Harmony One aspect launches and multiple other projects. I'm sure we'll partner with them moving forward. So yeah, looking forward to seeing the progression of this project in particular. Even the Steam train agrees with me. So it's very much a load going on. We will definitely cover all of this in the intro video. Maybe Wednesday, Thursday this week. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to have time to do that for sure. So loads to get through on that one, but very, very exciting. Again, thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. And we will hopefully find some data to do a proper chart analysis on that one as well. So let's now push ourselves into the next one. Again, not going to go into massive detail because HBAR 1 is one of our key projects that we actually hold for quite some time now, actually. And we've had some significant gains in this, but very excited about HBAR. So those that are holding it, so very much around governance. I mean, definitely check out the partnerships, which we'll do in a second, just a quick overview. But the Hashgraph consensus is really appealing to me. So it's very much designed around the speed and efficiency of transactions and operability between chains, but more importantly as well, the transparency. So especially from that public domain aspect, when and this is probably one of the reasons why you've got so many gigantic projects across a multitude of sectors who are owning and even governing the aspect of this Hashgraph technology and blockchain protocol, because public interest is of importance. Companies do take that kind of seriously more and more, and as consumers you want to be involved in companies that show that kind of public awareness of their business goings-ons, as it were. So yeah, these I don't particularly like, these kind of graphs. We see a lot with multitude of projects. We've covered like Zimfin and all of these, who are phenomenal as well, by the way. Everyone always compares themselves to Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think that's lazy. I would like to see comparisons with these two and a load of other ones as well, because these numbers, they look very impressive against Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I can assure you there's a multitude of projects that do very much similarly, in fact maybe even better than this. But like I said, the advantage of Hedera, the proof of stake public network, Hashgraph consensus. So the Hashgraph consensus is of great importance compared to other projects, in my opinion, and that's why there's a multitude of projects in the background. I say projects, I mean companies, using the ownership and governance of this and unbelievable ecosystem and project of HBAR, Hedera. To be honest, Hedera is the actual name of the company. Sorry. You can get the Hedera wallet. I have got that a while back, but I'm literally holding mine in the exchange because I do believe we're going to see some great opportunities. And do you know what, guys? You'll be excited to know that I've actually got this one on the chart. So we'll go into that in a second. One other aspect, fraud mitigation. So this is going to appeal to a lot of customers out there in the commercial area. Digital fraud accounts for over $600 billion. Absolutely massive amount of money. So reduce costs by ensuring real-time data congruence. I've never heard that word before. I'm going to have to look that up in the let's just check now. I'm very interested. Congruence definition: quality of state of agreeing, coinciding, or being congruent. Okay, I've learned something new today. So standards between parties while enhancing the ability to catch fraud before it happens. So massive, similar to kind of like security protocols, I guess, and like things like Happy that we covered last week. So loads of security aspects in the background and reducing fraud. Of course, Veracity and things like that are doing things similarly in terms of viewership. This particular project, HBAR, is looking to do it between like actual data and transactions. So a great importance to both commercial and arguably end users as well, and Joe public. So the verification power of fraud detection is one of the key aspects of HBAR. We will cover that definitely in the update video. And there's a big, massive information part here about how the consensus of hash graphing works. We will cover that in detail throughout the week, but it's definitely something to focus on for sure and get in your portfolio. I was fortunate enough to get in there early, but let's just take a look at the chart and we can have a look at what we've seen moving forward on this this aspect. Anyway, so guys, sorry guys, not sure what happened there. HBAR Hedera. Okay, let's take a look at this chart. So I was actually getting Hedera back here around January time. So I think we've flown around the 2-3 cent mark. So we've had some nice traction, certainly from that January point all the way up to here around March, around 45 cents. I think that was the previous all-time high. I'll just stick that in there actually as a point of reference for the future videos. So we're currently flowing around 37 cents today. We've had the big retracement as we saw in a multitude of markets over the time. But we bring ourselves to these points here. So up here we did indeed get to an even higher all-time high, which was up here around 57 cents. That hit on the 16th of September. So we've had the big power up here from the 20th of July. Just to reiterate what that was, so from that point, which was around 15 cents, attacking that 57-58 cent mark was a whopping 275% increase. Since then we've had a reduction of 47% on the chart. Guys, I think this project is obviously absolutely phenomenal, but what I'm interested in is potential opportunities for buying, and if you have missed the previous opportunities. So what we would like to look at here is this area of support. So what's interesting is the next 2-3 days, can we get support mechanism at this level? If you look historically, there isn't a gigantic amount above that level, so we are really looking tightly. And again, I'll just draw another line here as a point of reference. I'm more interested in maybe around there, I think. So yeah, it's of great interest, this particular area, and I'm just wondering if we get rejection here, we may start testing these levels. And if you look closely, we had some good resistance touch points along here as well as historically. So it's all about the next 2-3 days for me, guys. If we can get support at this line, it confirms we're at this like next new trend level, keeping in line kind of like with this very temporary orange line here that we've just drawn in. And we can start stabilizing and pushing ourselves back up to that 40 cent mark and testing higher levels again, because I do think we'll start attacking that all-time high again, maybe at the end of October or certainly the first week or so of November. But I want to see us get that support level as well. What I don't want to see is full traction down here, but it is possible. For me personally, I have got some USDT ready to potentially buy some again around this 33-32 cent mark. And I am going to be cheeky and put some down slightly at 31 as well. Will it come down lower than that? Of course, that is a possibility. You can see there's been some opportunities around that area before. But I think with the momentum of this project right now, this is probably even at that stage possibly too far-fetched. But if you're wanting to look at something maybe a bit like shorter than that, you could argue, again, as we've seen a couple of touch points here around that 36 mark, you might want to be cheeky around that, maybe 34ish, around this kind of orange line here. So those two areas could be an opportunity for buying in. But I do think even at this stage, and for the longevity of the project, and this is not financial advice obviously, but I think this price that you see here is going to be so minimal compared to maybe 3, 4, 5 years time. So yeah, any of these are kind of actually crazily good entry points. Obviously, if you're comparing it to when I was buying it, then of course, you know, it is a lot higher, and the gains are slightly less on that aspect. But it is definitely certainly of interest to maintain this opportunity around this area. But yeah, like I said, towards the end of October, I do anticipate us pushing more and more towards that 45 cents, getting confirmations over those areas quicker. So the RSI at the moment is in a good middle ground, so that it is literally about these 2-3 days, in my opinion, to see what we're doing next. And the MACD as well, if we just zoom in here, it's a bit topsy-turvy at the moment. We are going into bearish mood here, so I think this might be a possibility, this area. And it will probably be a quick turnaround, something like this that you saw earlier around sort of end of August. But I think most of the selling volume has already happened from the big corrections here. We've had this nice area here, and just to put that in perspective, that is a nice healthy 40% you know, take, and people are going to take profits in case they missed out on opportunities on this rise as well. And since then we've had the reduction around about 14-15%, so that's why I think maybe 20% is quite an ideal number to be looking at. So that kind of ties in with our theory around that as well. So let us know if you're holding HBAR in your portfolio. We're 3% down on the week, 12% up on the month, 1000% up year to date, guys. It's a phenomenal project. I'm looking forward to covering it more. But yeah, guys, let's jump back into the browser and cover our next project. But do let us know if you're holding HBAR. Let's go. It is doing very well today, actually. Usually my laptop has died by now from all the processing power required to open up basic websites, but there we go. Next one, guys, Alliance Block, ALBT. Now I don't think oh no, I do have this one on the chart actually, so that's a good one for us to cover shortly as we go more into it. Where can you get ALBT? ALBT, I'll get it right in a minute. You can get it at the moment on KuCoin, Uniswap and Bitfinex. Couple of different pairings available, but in particular of interest, of course, USDT, and those are holding Ethereum or using Ethereum. That could be a good option as well. So that's kind of covered that. Price point at the moment around 79 cents, so very good, and actually has had some quite good movement this year in my opinion, especially if you look back here from the beginning of the year. You know, it's moved quite a bit, to be fair, across that dollar mark and back down, but we'll cover that in a second in the chart. So Alliance Block, very interesting project as well. So Alliance Block for me is quite a good one to be looking at to try and hold, certainly for the long term, I think, as this project continues to move forward. So what we'll be looking at here, we're very much looking around acting as a currency reserve of the ecosystem reserve pool. Okay, so that's how the tokens is looking to help, but predominantly the ALBT token serves as a multi-purpose tool to be utilized as the primary medium of exchange. So it's looking to kind of like be that bridging aspect, if you like, helping increase the flow of money. And yeah, the partnerships are actually quite strong in terms of who's available here. We've got some big banking institutions here. API3, sorry, are massive. We've got some ones that are familiar to us in the crypto sphere. There's HBAR again there. You've got Polygon, Elrond, just saw Chainlink there somewhere, where there it is. Quant, obviously huge. But look at this, London Stock Exchange, AWS, of course, through Amazon. NatWest are on here. Boo, we don't like banks. But yeah, there's some Energy Web, interesting. I'm looking forward to doing more information on this Alliance Block aspect as well. AWT is one of my favorite projects. I'm really interested to see how they're working together with that aspect as well. But yeah, so loads of interesting things going on with this project. There's a big nice 12-month roadmap to go through here as well, but I just wanted to pinpoint a few. This like very colorful, isn't it? But look at this, isn't that beautiful? But yeah, I would like to just pinpoint a few things coming up that might help of interest for the growth patterns over the next few months. I'm trying, do you know what this reminds me of? Like I don't know if anyone's ever played the Game of Life or something, but here we go. So in the last couple of months, we've had the partnerships with the likes of Hedera. We've had the listing on KuCoin, which is fantastic. I really do like the KuCoin platform. I know a lot of people don't, or don't have it talked about as much. Elrond partnerships quite recently as well. But looking forward, guys, so what I quite like about this is the is the oranges and the greens here. So green obviously means great, we've done something, or we're working on the bridge aspect. So energy web chain, I wonder if you can open, oh, this is nice. I do like this website, this is phenomenal. So I'll just wait for that to load up. So yeah, Alliance block, by the way, guys, is absolutely fantastic as well. I think we've got a video on the Alliance block coming in the intro video as well. So the intro video, I think, for Alliance block we've got scheduled for Friday coming next week. So there's loads and loads of things going on, as you can see. What they don't sort of announce very much in the future aspects, like major future aspects, because these go on to like next year, of course, any partnerships. So I think they keep those close to their chest, as it were, until nearer the time. But yeah, I think this utility token is very interesting. So it just mentions here as well, the token utility and scarcity is further achieved via a number of deflationary features, including node staking, liquidity pooling, quarterly revenue-based token burns, and quarterly active based token burns. So let's just have a quick check how many they've got here. Max supply of 1 billion, current supply of circulating supply of 232 million. Very interesting. So the burning of the tokenomics is obviously going to help with the price fluctuation in an upwards fashion as time goes on. But I'm really keen to keep an eye on this one for sure. There's obviously a load of use cases and a load of projects. We're currently upgrading to Alliance Bridge. Will support energy web, claim button no longer, So I'm really interested to see how that works with EWT. Very interesting, but it's very much bridging projects together. And what I like about that aspect is, I've always said, like, people are very tribal about you know, blockchains and projects, and I'm thinking, well, guys, you shouldn't be. You should invest in the project if you believe in it and research it, and obviously, you know, do to some aspect follow other people as well if you find it interesting. But the bridging aspect and the interoperability of blockchains is very, very important for everything to work for the ecosystem. We will explain that more for Alliance Block, because you've got ecosystems like in the IoT AI sector, like IOTA, IoTX that we cover a lot, Fetch AI. These are all kind of like the building platforms of how things will work, like from device perspectives and automation. But then you've got to link that, guys. You've got to link that with other tokenomics, like finances, healthcare, education, all of these aspects, as well as finance and trade. So bridging traditional and decentralized finance. So it's going to bring in all of these things, or help bring all of these things together. So where it says about plugging into legacy TradeFi systems, it's trying to bridge that aspect of decentralized finance into traditional finance. That's why it's got partnerships like NatWest and all of that on there as well. But I do find this very interesting, how they're looking to do that. So it will keep bringing companies together. Of course, we saw like Chainlink and all that, who are obviously big in contracts, smart contracts, KYC, know your customer. So it really is, as they say in an Alliance block, Alliance is the aspect of bringing everything together. And when you've got these things like auditing firms and advisories, you know, that will definitely go into blockchain as well. And then you've got all the aspects of DeFi in here as well to bring it into play. So when eventually, not necessarily just Alliance block, but the whole mechanism of bringing everything together into one area is of great importance for everything to work on the same level. We talk about like smart grid in the real world. Well, smart grid to me is a multitude of different applications coming together, but how do you make the smart grid work? And it's things like Alliance blocks that will be helping do that. So really, really interesting to see how this develops, but we will do a proper intro video to this one moving forward. But loads and loads of really cool things going on. Guys, let's jump into the chart. So we have here the ALBT on the exchange of Bitfinex data here. Couple of observations on this chart. So we're actually floating around 78 cents right now. It's interesting, the launch kind of movement as well, so it's very interesting to see the resistance there previously. In fact, let me just whilst looking at that, I'll just pull up some info here. Yeah, so we've got some moves obviously have occurred in the last few months of interest. So we've had, for example, this point here down here around the 20th of June, all the way up to this point here where we have had recently 862% increase On the way down, have we had a good enough correction? Let's take a look. So from that point of around the 6th of September, we've had a few Bitcoin nonsense days since then, but let's just take it to the point where we are now. 48% reduction, but actually from that lowest point, 60%. So I think that's a very good move and correction, and it's showing not only the confidence but also the stability in this project. And in fact, if you just look here, from what I'm seeing, this nice upward trend, we've had a bit massive sort of over purchase area around here when we're coming off that traditional trend line, but the actual channel funnel that we've drawn in here is pretty much bang on up until this point, where, like I said, we had a couple, maybe 2 or 3 Bitcoin reductions there that have obviously affected charts in a multitude of ways. I just remove that percentage decrease just there. So what's interesting for me here is we're tailing into this reduction mode here. We're above the trend line on the downward spiral as well. So we're literally coming into this crossover point here. And that's why I put this potential buy opportunity down here. It's not financial advice, just opinion. But I'm actually interested because I've obviously not got this project. But if I'm just look for a short-term grab, I think I'm definitely looking around that sort of maybe 74-ish, 74.45 cent mark, just to be cheeky and try and grab some. We did kind of touch those areas near enough on the 6th and 7th, but it didn't actually go below the 75 cent mark. So it's going to be interesting, but like I said, we're approaching this mechanism that actually there's going to be maybe a potential crossover. Let's try and confirm that theory actually. So we've had the cooling off of the selling, so this is actually very close to switching over, so it kind of confirms what we're talking about. And what I'm talking about, guys, is this area where we are looking just finally at a switch over point. So in the next 2-3 days, guys, it's very likely that we might see that stability approaching this level here, maybe 82 cents, and we'll start tailing back up to test these levels of 86, 93 and beyond. So very exciting times for this project, in my opinion. As I said, the selling volume has reduced dramatically. The RSI is floating very nicely at 44. I would like it a tad lower, and that's why I think just in case I'm going to put that grab. It'd be really interesting to see if we get that over the next within the next week. We'll definitely refer to this chart as we do the intro video as well, but really interested in this sort of particular blue area that we've drawn here. If we can tail up or it will come down slightly before we get that low RSI point, which we have, to be fair, had a few days back, but it's just not looking strong enough. So I'm really interested to see if that occurs or not. And then of course what we're looking to try and see is the beginning of a pale green. So hopefully that will occur. But yeah, the next few days are looking very interesting for ALBT. So it could be a chance to jump in. You know, you're reducing the risk in that sense. Again, not financial advice, but reducing the risk of a multitude of major drops or anything like that. Of course, Bitcoin can do anything these days at any time, but I think the likelihood of this starting to move up is going in more of a positive direction for the ALBT token. Technicals wise, yeah, we're sort of venturing towards that neutrality, so it's going to be interesting, guys. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I'll be able to grab some here. I've got a Bitfinex account, so I'm going to load up some USDT in a couple of hours time after launching this video and see if I can grab some down here. If I don't, then I'm not too disappointed at getting it, to be honest, around this 80 cent mark, because I think this has got a lot of room for improvement in regards to the price points and what we've kind of briefly covered in the intro to the project and what we look like we're aiming for towards in the future. So I think this is a really good opportunity. Obviously I would love to have got in at lower, earlier stages, maybe around this 20 cent mark, but guys, I think this is great interest. I'm adding it to my watch list, that is for sure. But yeah, looking forward to checking in on that one and the intro video this week. Are you holding ALBT in your portfolio? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure you smash that like button if you're enjoying this content. Hopefully you're not bored to death and maybe you've been utilizing the timestamps, because I don't know if I have the patience to sit through an hour of introductions and charts myself, but fair play to you if you have. And if you have, I think I'm gonna have to start giving out some rewards or something for those that have literally listen to the whole thing. But there we go, guys. There we go. So guys, let's go jumping back into the browser and see where we are in our research. So we have covered this fantastic alliance block. So let's just move on to the next one. We're finalizing it. I think we've only got one left actually. So the last one here is QuantStamp. QuantStamp, guys, QSP on the exchange, floating around 7 cents, available on the current exchanges of, drumroll please, Binance, Huobi Global, Gate and Uniswap in a multitude of pairings, particularly USDT on Gate. However, only on Binance they've got BTC and Ethereum, so I would like to see some better pairings in my opinion. But let's look at QuantStamp. I think this is phenomenal, this one. I truly believe this has massive legs in it. So looking to secure the decentralized internet and has also protected over $100 billion in digital asset risk from hackers. So it's a massive security protocol, this. Huge amount of customers, very interesting projects they're working with already. One few key ones there, bang in the middle. Cardano, of course, Maker, Avalanche, Compound in the sort of, crypto sphere, as it were. Beeple B20 is, of course, very popular. And Ethereum 2.0, the Prismatic Labs, and Top Shot for NFTs aspects as well. So probably confirming really the kind of like what Veracity do in confirmations of viewings and the verification of identity through NFT, smart contract, these kind of things. So it's talking about here, for example, digital art, smart contracts. I love this interface. So very much looking into, it's almost like an antivirus, but for your blockchain, or your protocol. So a nice little analysis of what the problems are, what the risks are, and how you can improve and integrate your SDKs and your developing team to help keep continuously improving your blockchain and ledger systems. So I think it's really, really good project. It's satisfied customers. I'm not going to go through all of these, but some nice names there, isn't there? Zilliqa we cover a lot, but outside of crypto, companies like Siemens, for example, stuck in there. There's a multitude of projects out there, like Toyota in the car industry, Mitsubishi, not just cars, they do a multitude of electric and technological projects. So yeah, there's a nice little mix here. Hedera, again, one of the projects we covered in today's big video, backed by, so loads of different aspects here. The Dubai Future Accelerators, that's interesting. Yeah, that is very interesting. When we do the intro video, I'll do the link up with that, because that's quite a big statement to make there. QuantStamp to secure Solana's core infrastructure. So guys, this is definitely one that we want to be looking at to add to our portfolios, in my opinion. I haven't got this one myself, but yeah, QuantStamp, expert blockchain security audits. So can you imagine, like, in the real world of like auditors going around companies checking their finances, this, that and the other, and then now we've got this like blockchain technology that uses like AI algorithm and development coding to just be able to jump into your system and go, yeah, what is good, what isn't bad, what's vulnerable, what isn't, all these kind of things. Blockchain and smart contracts are vulnerable to hacks, as we know. $8+ billion has been lost due to vulnerabilities and exploits. I think there's 100 billion in the front page about just generalization of lost data and things like that. Let QuantStamp identify vulnerabilities and exploits for you. So that is really interesting, project, in my opinion. I'm actually very interested in this, because when you look at like the real world scenarios and what is the fundamental value of this project, this is what I'm really interested in. It's not just the blockchains themselves, it's also what's powering or securing the infrastructure behind it. And sometimes it's done in-house, sometimes you need the extra layers externally to come in and provide a unique service. And that's what these guys are doing. They're doing something that these projects clearly don't do themselves and don't have the ability to. So therefore they're bringing projects like QuantStamp into this to push their project further. Very interesting, they've got Illuvium on here. So what's the, NFTs, yeah. So changing how we think about digital ownership. So yeah, very much kind of like the confirmation, if you like, and security background to NFT purchasing, buying, selling, ownership, etc. As we said, like projects like Veracity deal with like the proof of you and the proof of your NFT being real, etc. But this kind of project, QuantStamp, is essentially adding that layer of security and making sure you don't get hacked or stolen or anything like this. So, you know, it's all very well showing ownership, but what about the security aspect to it as well? And these blockchains that exist currently and obviously only do so much. So really excited about this one, guys, and thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. I did consider QuantStamp quite a while back, but yeah, get it right, I meant QSP on the chart. And on that note, guys, let's jump into QSP. You'll be pleased to know I do have this one as well on the TradeView system. So guys, I'm looking forward to doing a proper intro video for QSP, but let's take a look at where we've gone so far. So I've drawn in a few observations thus far. So historically, of course, we've had some fantastic moves. The top high here of around 14.2 cents, I think it was, roughly. So we've got a bit of movement to go from the point we are currently at. So we're kind of halfway in that mark as well. I've drawn in a couple of orange lines here. These are from historic information of potential resistance and support mechanisms for the next levels. So in my opinion, yes, we can look at fib retracements all day long, and both in a macro and a long-term aspect, of course, but I'm also interested in historic data. So this area is great interest for us to try and push up. So let's just take a look closer here. So we've had the reduction since this top part here on the 6th, 7th September, around 6 cents. We've dropped down to arguably a lowish point around the 26th September. I think that might have been one of the Bitcoin days. We've seen some good retracement back. That shows you how confident people are in this project. So we've gone from the 3 cents, we're up here. We hit a high, I believe, today, earlier, of this nearly 8.5 cents. So that's a good take in today. It's obviously rejected this, so we're not quite ready for a support level at 8.3 cents, but we'll come back down. As you can see, it's in line with our macro fib retracement here at around 7.08 cents. And this critical level that we drew in here from historic data of touch points and resistance levels in the past, certainly a few months back. So it's obviously tailed in with the touch points on the 6th, the 7th of October, which were rejected. We passed through on the 8th of October, and today we may have a battle for this area here. So if we can get a close on this 6.9/7 cent mark and get that over 2-3 day period, so just to let you guys familiar what I'm talking about, this area here, we could start seeing this project QuantStamp QSP moving upwards and trying to test this area again at 0.083. So we need to check that out. But what I am also interested in, as always in the charts, is potential opportunities for buy-in. There is an argument to say that I probably going a bit bullish in my momentum of trying to obtain lower ones, because there is an opportunity still here, in my opinion. I'm just going to draw that in for those that might be interested in that area yourselves. So that is these markers here. Now it doesn't sound too far off to where we are currently, but we're looking at maybe around that sort of 6.7 cent mark. I think that's quite a good tallied mark. In fact, pretty much bang on where that orange line is, to be honest. But I have put lower ones here at just over the 6 cent mark, and just below it as well, around 59 cents as well. So what I'm thinking is, if it comes down, we might get a little wick down and we might be able to capture that. And it's almost in line as well with these previous lines of resistance that we had around 5.8. In fact, what I'm going to do is adjust that to around that 5.8 mark to about there. So I'm going to actually load up some USDT later today. I'm going to put some around that 6.1 cents. I'm going to put some at 5.8 cents as well. I'm not saying it'll definitely go down that way, because there's some really bullish momentums here, but I'm not just going to jump into a project just for the sake of it. We're on a massive uptake here from this point on the 29th of September. I think it would be silly of me personally to be jumping in this high. 70 is quite high on the RSI, so I would be looking at a nice decent retracement over the next couple of weeks to see if I can jump in. Let's see if we hit any of these opportunities, but this tail up here is almost a possible confirmation that We're not quite ready for those higher levels yet, and we need to find some structure down here, because actually historically, with the exception of these areas back here, only on maybe 2-3 really key touch points, there isn't a massive amount of data to support these lines fully yet. So that's something of interest. The MACD is of course going in a bullish momentum. The buying volume is kicking in continuously as well. So these will be very snappy buy-ins, in my opinion, very quick ones. Whether they happen or not remains to be seen. But you've got to try and take advantage of both aspects, right? In general, I think like right now, you know, as I've said, me personally, I wouldn't really want to be jumping in here just from a gains perspective. Because obviously you're increasing your risk possibly. Not saying that QSP can't rise to magnificent levels, of course, and irrespective of actually, yeah, you could say you could jump in at like 7-8 cents, because it could be that it gets to at least 50 cents this year. You just don't know. But yeah, I've got a big portfolio as it is, of a multitude of assets. And when I'm trying to add new ones, it's, you know, what's my goal? Is it short term, long term? I've already got loads of short term projects. You know, I'm not going to have a massive bag of USDT essentially to make any gigantic differences, but I would like to try down at these lower levels for sure. So let's keep an eye on this one over the next few days. We'll do an update as well as the intro video. Maybe for Wednesday, Thursday this week, we'll have a look at the schedule. 34% up on the week, 25% up on the month. 6 months was still slightly down because that doesn't take a bit of the tail off of the reduction in the bear market a few months back. But we also 164% up year to date. So it's a bit of a slow mover. That's why as well, as I guess for the future long term, this project is going to be absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, there is an argument to say against what I've just said, you know, that these price points are probably still very good in comparison to the long term. But yeah, there's reasons why I'm not jumping in right now, and hopefully you appreciate the honesty there. We're not doing hype videos here. You know, this is all down to you as a choice. Do your own research, your own thoughts, your strategies, of course. But in my opinion, I'm waiting for this area around here, and arguably maybe I have a small bag available with USDT to bag these up down here as well on Binance. So let's take a look, guys, in a few days' time. Right, we're wrapping that up. We're actually going to do a follow-up on last week's projects in terms of chart updates. Hopefully later today we can drop that, if not tomorrow. But also we have loads of intro videos to the ones we've done in episode 1, 2. For episode 3, i.e. today's one, we'll probably have those done the week after, because obviously in between that we've got to fit all the other amazing projects that we continuously talk about. In a nutshell, hopefully this channel continues to grow to a magnitude where maybe we even need to hire some people to do some analysis on some of these projects as they continue to maximize. It's very difficult, of course, with the real world jobs and stuff to balance all these things. So hopefully you appreciate that and what we're trying to do. Do keep shouting out your ideas for the next episode. Look out for the community page coming up during the week. Guys, my throat is dying right now from all this talking. Thank you so much for watching, and looking forward to seeing you in episode 4 as well as all the other awesome videos throughout the week. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care and bye bye.